Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Melissa Ziobro. Welcome to Preservation New Jersey's virtual series Q&A with PNJ. Right off the bat, let me note again that we are recording. Please keep yourselves on mute until the end if you want to participate in our Q&A, at which point we encourage you, unmute and jump right in. Let me do a little bit of housekeeping before we get to today's program. Again, I'm Melissa Ziobro. I'm the Director of Public History at Monmouth University in West Long Branch. But for this event, I am wearing my Preservation New Jersey board member hat. I am tonight's host, but I would like to give a quick shout out to our very hardworking Executive Director, Kelly Raffel, to our president, Paul, our education committee chair, Mark, our incredible office coordinator, Dale, Dale, I was going to say that even if you didn't just come in from the waiting room, and all of our other board members. Everything we do at Preservation New Jersey really is a team effort, and a lot of it gets done just with volunteers. So really proud to be a part of this great group. If you're not familiar with Preservation New Jersey, it was founded in 1978, and it's a statewide member-supported nonprofit historic preservation organization that promotes economic vitality, sustainability, and heritage of New Jersey's diverse communities through advocacy and education. You can learn more about the work Preservation New Jersey does and how to get involved on the website, preservationnj.org. We are perhaps most well known for our 10 Most Endangered Historic Places in New Jersey program, where we advocate for these remarkable sites and their many challenges. We hope that listing them will be a catalyst for change and positive solutions. We're getting ready to announce the 2024 10 Most Endangered Sites on May 4th. So you have to stay tuned to our website and our social media for more information about that. We also publish instructional and informative toolkits and other educational materials and publications. We've got a great newsletter and so much more. So again, we hope all of you will keep in touch. Become a member if you're not already. You can get all the information you need at preservationnj.org. So on to tonight's program. Preservation New Jersey ventured into virtual programming, as so many organizations did during the pandemic. But, 4 years on, we've kept up with it. It's a nice way to reach people in the comfort of their homes. And so this series in particular, Q&A with PNJ, seeks to highlight voices across New Jersey's historic preservation community and bring their knowledge and expertise on a wide variety of history and historic preservation topics right there to you in your home. So today we are chatting with some of the folks behind RevolutionNJ. They will make some prepared remarks, and then we will have time for Q&A, as I promised. We do try to keep these to an hour, so we'll see how it goes. Let's dive in. I am going to first hand things off to Sarah Curitin. Sarah is the director of the New Jersey Historical Commission. Sarah, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And thank you to Preservation New Jersey for inviting us to be here this evening. I would love to invite all of you to introduce yourselves in the chat. We'd love to know what organizations you come from. And please do that. We'd love to get to know all of you as well. It's my pleasure now to kind of introduce you to the folks we have here from RevolutionNJ. And I'll first start, because he's right next to me on this Brady Bunch board, Mark Lawrence, who is our chief public historian and is our lead staff member working on RevNJ programming. And then we also have Mike Keeler, who's going to be presenting tonight. He is the communications lead for RevolutionNJ. And then I did want to introduce my partner in crime and in RevolutionNJ, that is Carrie Fellows, who is the executive director of our nonprofit partner, Crossroads of the American Revolution. Just to say a couple words of welcome, Carrie.
I want to also introduce Larry Schmidt, who's our Director of Development, who's joined us. Larry has been working hard to help us get our capital campaign up and going. I just want to thank you all for coming. It's a real pleasure to be here. Sarah and I have done this roadshow a few times. Tonight, Mark and Sarah and Mike are going to be taking the lead, and I appreciate that. It's a beautiful spring day. Thank you all for coming inside and joining us for this, and we hope we'll be able to answer the questions that you have this evening.
Good point. Thank you for not being lured outside onto your terrace to enjoy this beautiful spring evening. So we're going to start by asking you a question. So Melissa, if you could, if you would put up our first poll.
This is the gauging interest poll, right?
Yes.
All right.
So we would love to know which of these you would describe your excitement about
the poll's working. I'm confident in myself. It's working.
This is fantastic. Thank you for responding. It's an anonymous poll, so you can be absolutely honest. We will not reveal your answers, only tabulate them, as you can say.
I'm intrigued. This is anonymous, but I'm intrigued by the wake me when it's over. But they came to the Zoom today. I just
Yes, if you choose to reveal yourself, we'd love to know. But you don't have to.
It was me, Sarah. Sorry.
All right. I think we probably have given folks enough time to respond. Thank you all for playing. So it looks like the winner here is ready for action. We've got a lot of folks on this Zoom meeting tonight who are ready for action. So Melissa, we can end that poll, and Mark will get started with our deck.
is Mark there?
Share results.
Okay,
stop sharing. Okay, good. Now, hopefully I can close it. Yay. Okay, good. Oh, no. So it worked, Melissa, just we can't get it to stop working.
Are we good? Is it gone?
Yeah, you should be able to hit the X button. It should be gone.
Okay,
I
good.
see Mark's slides on my screen.
Yeah, good. We are good. Okay. So we want to start by giving you a little taste of really what's coming. This is not going to be an ordinary year in 2026 because there will be a lot going on across the nation, but especially here in New Jersey. So when the 250th arrives, and when I say that, I really am talking about July 4th, 2026, because that is the center of attention really at the national level for this anniversary. So when that, and we, by the way, know in New Jersey, there's a lot more to commemorate after that date. But if we look at this crescendo at the national level of July 4th, 2026, there's going to be a lot going on here. World Cup is one of the biggest things to be aware of. We now know the final is going to be played right here in New Jersey, and there will be many, many matches, both in our state and around us. So there'll be a lot of not just national, but even international activity and attention focused on us. Sail Forth 250 is also going to be happening at that time. Those of you who remember, as I do, the bicentennial will remember the tall ships. And Sail Forth 250 is the 2026 version of that, and that will again be plying the waters around the coast of New Jersey and New York. Homecoming 250 actually will have already happened, but it's going to be setting the table for a lot of what happens in 2026. That's the year before, when the Navy and Marine Corps mark their 250th anniversary of their foundings. And that's going to be centered largely in the Philadelphia Camden area. And then there will, of course, be the usual concert series that happen around the state during that summertime period. So that just means, our point in telling you that is there's a huge amount of opportunity really coming to New Jersey in 2026 to raise awareness of history and of its relevance and impact on our lives today. So what we're going to share with you this evening is basically those first 3 bullet points, and then we're eager to hear more from you about what you'd like to know about our planning and questions about how you can get involved. So my job next is to kind of give you that first bullet, which is what have we been up to? So Mark, let's dive into that. I want to start by just reminding everyone that of what we're all about. What is RevolutionNJ? We were created by legislation back in 2018, and we are New Jersey's official body planning the commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States. And it's a partnership between the public New Jersey Historical Commission and the private nonprofit Crossroads. Here's our mission statement, just in case you don't know what we're all about. We really are, and we spent a lot of time at the beginning talking to folks all around the state as we hone to this mission statement. As you can see, we're dedicated to inclusive history and really raising public engagement around history so that it can positively impact all of those areas: education, tourism, scholarship, and community engagement. Now, as I mentioned, we spent a lot of time, and maybe some of you attended some of those early sessions. We spent a lot of time at the beginning going out and talking to citizens all over the state from different communities and honing these 6 goals. So these are our 6 goals. And as I said, we tested them with folks all around the state, and this reflects what we heard back from people. So you can see a great commitment here to inclusive history, as well as commitments to really promoting heritage tourism and elevating the level of history education, and also that critical 6th goal of really trying to encourage greater investment in history, both from the public and private sectors. Okay, Jennifer, if you don't mind, Mark, go back to that previous slide, and let's talk just a minute about goal number 2. Jennifer, I'm glad you asked about that, because actually that was one of the goals that kind of surprised me, that it tested so highly with the different groups that we talked to around the state when we were formulating these goals. But there really was a high interest in using this anniversary opportunity as a chance to really invest in our history organizations and to encourage others to do the same. The idea was this real desire to strengthen history organizations so they could do a better job serving our visitors. So that's really where that comes from. Our visitors and residents, let's put it that way. Now, we also convened a group of scholars back at the beginning of our work, and we asked them to help us identify some interpretive themes that were really resonating with the academic community and were really exciting and right on the cusp of what scholars were thinking about. And hi, Peter, I did mention the Crossroads Partners, and in fact, I introduced my colleague, Carrie Fellows, right at the beginning to everybody. So these are the 7 interpretive themes that we identified as the ones that we were going to focus on for this anniversary. Now, the goal of these themes was to really provide an entry point to any organization that wanted to get involved in this anniversary and plan a program or create an event, etc. The idea here is, just as the national legislation does, we here in New Jersey are taking this opportunity, yes, to think about our Revolutionary War past, which is incredibly rich, but also to consider the whole 250 years of American history. And these themes are designed to be tools to enable any organization or community to find a way to relate to what we're doing and be a part of this initiative.
Just really quickly, Sarah, that's one of the statements we keep hearing is if
Yes.
we're not an American Revolutionary War site, how can we take part, or why should we take part? And this has been our answer for folks who really want to do something for the 250th, but they don't feel they have a stake in the game. The themes really allow those organizations to come in.
Absolutely, thank you. Yes, that's one of the top 2 questions we get asked most often. Now, we also, as we were beginning this in the early years, we spent a lot of time asking a whole bunch of questions and creating a set of resources that you see listed here that addressed some of the issues related to those goals that I shared with you right at the beginning. And almost all of these are available online at our website, RevolutionNJ.org. So I really encourage any of you who haven't to dip in there and get more familiar with some of these foundational documents we've created. They've provided us with a great foundation to move forward now into specific program planning and implementation. And one of those really important implementation legs of our stool here is to really get our communications going. So what I'd like to do now is hand it off to Mike Keeler, who is our communications lead for RevolutionNJ, to tell you a little bit more about some of these engagement platforms and strategies that we have in place.
Hi, thanks, Sarah. She had mentioned RevNJ.org, which is our website. Everything that we're going to be talking about tonight, those documents that she just mentioned, and anything you need to know about RevolutionNJ is at RevNJ.org. But probably more vibrant than websites these days is social media. So we have a very vibrant program going on both of our major streams on Instagram and Facebook. As we've moved forward, what we've been doing is making sure that we're taking advantage of the existing streams of both the Historical Commission and Crossroads, because they have some very long-standing, vibrant relationships with partners throughout the state. And we've been growing RevolutionNJ's channels through that. What we have found that won't shock you, just a little bit of insider information, is that Facebook is more of a place for some of our municipalities, for some of our historical societies. They tend to live in that kind of area, whereas Instagram is kind of younger and hipper. And we've got some of our proud partners. We've got a ballet school. We have astronomers. We've got all kinds of different cultural groups that are on Instagram, and they've become proud partners. So anybody who joins us as a proud partner, we're following them, they're following us. So go on that and make sure that we're both following you and that you're following us, and take advantage of this. We have grown about 3 times in the last 2 months. Our stream has grown by a 3x as partners come in and communities come in. So it's been very vibrant, and we want to keep growing it. So do anything you can to at us and hashtag us and keep growing these streams. At the RevNJ.org website, we have a calendar. We are pulling the stuff that we are doing, but we are also posting things that Crossroads Heritage Partners are doing, that municipalities are doing, that sites are doing. We want to make this the place where people are going to learn about stuff. Definitely look at the tea burning at Princeton Battlefield. A lot of people don't know that in January of 74, one of the very first, as we know, as far as we know, one of the very first states to stand up and be recognized right after the Tea Party in Boston was a tea burning at Princeton Battlefield. There was an event there. We were there. We put up a video. That's the kind of stuff that we've got on our website, so you can really get involved with the stuff as it starts rolling out. So it's not about just 26. It's about everything that's happening between now and 26, and all the way to 33, which is the signing of the Treaty of Paris. This will be a busy calendar for the next decade or so. There are two major ways we're asking people to join in. We're asking businesses and organizations and historical societies and people and Boy Scouts and cultural organizations to become a proud partner here on the right. We're very happy to say we just passed our 100th proud partner. And Mark can attest, we had such a backlog for a while. We had to kind of change our algorithm a little bit because people were pouring in so fast. We had to get the things approved faster. By all means, become a proud partner. Talk to your friends, talk to other organizations. You can become a proud partner, whether you're an individual, whether you're a chamber of commerce. There's lots of ways to join. And then we're trying to get every community in New Jersey, all the municipalities. We're well underway of getting the counties. We're over, I think, several dozen. We're getting up on 50 communities so far. You can see these at revnj.org. Check it out. And if you've got somebody you know in any of these communities or proud partners that could join us beyond yourself, by all means, pull people in.
And just a really quick clarifier before I move on to my part of the presentation, but for the Proud Partner program, this is different than the Crossroads Heritage Partners program. I know that sometimes we get questions asked on what is the sort of crossover there, but they're two separate programs. One, the RevolutionNJ one is free and open to the public, as Mike mentioned, to a number of different organizations. And if you're an individual, it's open to individuals with LLCs and things like that, but not just like anyone can apply. You have to be an organization or doing business as within the state. And we would love to help folks discuss the Proud Partner program or the Communities program. If you need help on how to get it passed, we have the communities draft resolution available for folks to edit and download and approach their municipalities with. We need help in getting everyone ready for the 250th, and any help you can. If you have a community that you are part of that is not listed on our website, please take a look at our list and try to get them signed up. All right. And just a quick overview of our counties that we're hearing stuff from regarding the 250th. This list is growing. Our sort of outreach to the counties has been through physical in-person meetings, attending virtual meetings, hosting meetings. It's a number of folks on the ground who have been thinking about the 250th in their county and how they can get moving. The counties themselves are branding in whatever way they feel is the best for them. And we're hoping that each of these organizations considers passing a Proud Partners, or if their county is passing a draft resolution for the community program so that they can be officially recognized on our website, which then helps us amplify your guys' work and lets us know what's going on so that we can help make sure everyone's in the know about what's going on in their neighborhoods. All right, Mike, I think we're going to pass a poll right now that would be sort of a preemptive question we would like to ask folks, and we would love to hear, which is going to be, let's see.
Is this me, Mark? Or?
Oh no, this is on us, Melissa. We're gonna just throw it into the chat. Or is it, or Sarah, you meant the other one? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
It might be you, Melissa, actually.
Yeah, we'll do the second poll for everyone.
Okay. Tell me if it doesn't look right on your end. Here we go.
There we go. So we'd like to know, what have you heard? How much have you heard about the 250th so far? We'd love to know. So you got 3 choices. And we'll see what everyone thinks. 2. Oh, that's interesting. Again, anonymous, so feel free to be honest here.
This is a judgment-free zone.
Judgment-free zone, exactly. Okay, we'll give everybody just a few more, another minute to respond.
Little added value while you guys are polling. A couple things we've learned in our travels is one, Sarah was talking about the bicentennial. The bicentennial math was pretty easy. It was 1976, 76. The 2026 math isn't quite as easy. You may have to explain it to somebody that it's the 250th, and we've sort of run into that. So I'd share that with you as you talk to your friends and family, and maybe the folks who are saying revolution what, you may need to explain it. And also, we have defaulted to calling it the 250th as opposed to the semi-quincentennial or some other Roman or Greek, way of doing it. That's cut through pretty well. If you tell people it's the 250th coming up in 2026, that gets them there a lot quicker than they might otherwise.
Thank you. So there we go, guys. It looks like at least the majority is in that middle column. Not surprising, trying to keep up, as are we. So thank you. Thanks for playing.
All right, and my portion of this presentation is the exciting part, right? So we've been talking about all this great work that we've been trying to do in the state and getting folks ready for the 250th. And now the big ask is, well, okay, this sounds great, but how do we take part in it? What are the pathways in for organizations like yourselves to be part of the 250th? Knowing that, one of our bigger goals is raising funding for history, building capacity at sites. We do know that staffing and volunteer hours and the post-pandemic life has affected a lot of our organizations, and we are not deaf to those very on-the-ground situations. So we've tried to find ways in which we can work with what we have right now to bring folks into the 250th. And here's a very quick rundown. And once again, these are all up in the air. Folks can do what they ultimately want for the 250th. But if you are a RevolutionNJ partner, we would hope that you would follow some of the basic guardrails that we're putting in for programming. So if you wanted to be part of the 250th, the first program you can do, or the first pathway you can do, is take a look at the programs we've created as a RevolutionNJ program. These are going to be the programs created by working groups that we've assembled, which comes from a broad cross-section of folks from communities, scholars, academics, representatives of historical organizations, different communities and sectors. These are all programs that came out of brainstorming sessions that we held a couple of years ago. And then we were put in charge in developing it, whether it's developed by the staff or if we have to find consultants or find folks outside to help us develop it. These are programs that we're hoping to launch statewide in the coming years. Some of them have already launched, and you probably have seen things like Tavern Talks and History Happened Here in their pilot form. This is something that we're really hoping to treat as sort of our anchor program, so that if you have limited resources, but you would still want to take part in the 250th, that you can sign up for something like a traveling exhibit or host a genealogy pop-up tent, right? That these are things that folks can sign up for and reserve in 2025, 2026. Pathway B is using the resources that we've created to help folks make their own programs and events and initiatives. Things that make sense the most for your organization and community, knowing the resources that you have, the needs of your communities, or some gaps that you might want to address. And then the last pathway in is joining some of the national initiatives that are there. There is a number of organizations throughout the state that have, or throughout the nation, that have started doing 250th programming, including offering some funding. I'll get into each of these very quickly. I don't want to go too deep diving, but just so if folks have never seen or heard of RevolutionNJ, here is sort of the first offering. So this is our Pathway A. These are some of the programs that we have developed. So the ones that you see up top are ones that we have actively been piloting and thrown around the state. Tavern Talks has already been piloted twice, once in Hackensack, once in Somerset County with the local microbrew industry. We worked with Hackensack Brewing and Flounder Brewing Company, great partners who dedicated the time, space, and promotion for this event, and we were able to get a great group of folks in to discuss history over a pint of beer. It's a very interactive program that's really focusing on how to get people to think about history differently, to consume history in a way that might be more interactive, more engaging than a typical lecture might offer. We're developing a traveling exhibit, which is just going to highlight a lot of the sort of unheard stories of the revolution, really focusing on diverse perspectives, questions that folks had to wrestle with, a lot of gray area thinking about the revolution, highlighting a lot of figures from New Jersey who really exemplify some of those interpretive themes that we were discussing earlier. History Happened Here is a grade 5 to 12 program where students are going to be asked to do primary research in their backyards, really in their neighborhoods, looking at any historical figure that speaks to the prompt, which is, what does the revolution mean to you? And it's going to introduce students to primary historical research, but also how to engage with their local resources in their communities, whether it's a public library, an archive, a history site, and really in hopes that they kind of get the history bug and understand what goes into the process of doing history. And the end product there would be students will create what they feel is the best deliverable, whether it's a video or performance or a written paper or a poster. The public arts program is something that we're doing in partnership with our colleagues at the State Council on the Arts and Monument Lab, the Philadelphia-based organization that does public arts and humanities projects, focusing on history and civic engagement. We're hoping to launch that with the help of folks in the state. We really would like to make sure that we're hitting sites and organizations that really want to host a public arts installation that's community-centered and works with local artists. Genealogy pop-ups are our sort of introduction to genealogy attempt. If you are someone who's never experienced genealogy or done genealogical work, this would be sort of your gateway into what is the world of genealogy. And the goal here, once again, is to highlight the resources that are already in your community. So organizations can rent out the pop-up, have it at any organization or fair that they're at, and then that pop-up would direct people to local resources in their communities and online resources. We're in the process of registering for an RFP proposal for podcasts. This is going to be an 8-episode podcast looking at history mysteries. And the goal is to have folks really enjoy what history is in New Jersey by following captivating storylines that make people go to sites and really listen to folks on the ground who are trying to do the work every day and highlighting the history of a site. We have further development of professional resources such as placemaking workshops, which will be conducted throughout this year. We have a little bit more about that later on in the presentation. Revolutionary Runs is a 5K run from historic sites and communities around the state. We're going to be piloting that this year with 6 locations. Our Civics K-5 initiative, Veterans Initiative, and other initiatives such as Keep America Beautiful are all initiatives that we're currently developing and are in the preliminary phase. And we're hoping to engage different sectors of our societies and getting them excited for the 250th. And then as the last bullet point shows, there's other collaborations going on in the state with projects and programs that are going to be ready for the 250th that the staff directly isn't involved in, but that they themselves have taken the lead on, which will be available to organizations around the state too. And if any questions about these particular programs, you can check out our website at revnj.org/programs to see a little bit more about it. Our social media, as Mike mentioned earlier, always tries to showcase anything that's going on, especially with these programs. Okay, so if you're taking pathway B, which is like, that's great, but I kind of want to make my own thing. You're more than welcome to do that. And we would love to work with you on that if you want any of our help. For folks who are sort of interested in developing something in line with the RevolutionNJ ethos, we've created a number of different resources. As you see on the left, there is some professional development webinars. So we've had a couple of videos such as the Big Ideas and Bundles of Silence videos and placemaking for the 250th initiatives. These are all informative webinars that kind of get you primed and ready to tackle some of those interpretive themes and those larger strategic goals we highlighted earlier. The big book on the right, the handbook, is sort of our, if we had to hand over a guide for folks on how we're hoping people think about the 250th, the handbook is our sort of one-stop shop. It's based on doing community-based work, really grassroots centered, working with communities inside of your own neighborhood and trying to make sure that whatever you create programmatically speaks to a larger question or issue that your community would like to address, and seeing the 250th as an opportunity to do such programming like that, whether it's to expand your current interpretive work or engage new audiences that you haven't had a chance to engage. We really hope you take a look at the handbook. There's plenty of material in there with further readings and other resources too. So it's one of our big asks there. Sarah, you unmuted. I always wonder if you have something to say. Is there something in the chat that I'm missing?
No, not at all. I might highlight for everyone too, while we're listening to Mark's great presentation, Mike Keeler has put a question in the chat for all of you. So while you're listening, drop your answer to that question in the chat.
That is, yeah. Well, and that question is actually in part related to the handbook, which is probably why we're asking it right now. And one of our big questions we have is, how are we collaborating with folks outside of the history field or outside of the heritage world? We really are looking at an opportunity here to work with small businesses, economic development firms, really trying to see and expand the definition of what history is at the 250th and what it could be. And the last pathway in is to really look at some of the national initiatives that are there. There is a National America 250, in which I believe all but one state now is signed up, and that one state is California. I took all the but they are a organization that has had a couple of rebrands and working really diligently now in trying to really set up some keystone programs for the 250th in the next 2 years. And two of those are America's Stories and America's Field Trip. These are all programs that folks can take part in. The first one is really sort of kind of like a StoryCorps. Let me record a video and submit it to this database that has stories of Americans and what does the revolution mean to them? What does the 250th mean to them? What does America mean to them? It's a number of video collecting and database creation. And America's Field Trip is a competition for students to respond to a prompt that would then lead them to take a field trip to a select number of sites throughout the country. America 250 is also planning on a couple of more things that they're going to be launching in the summer. And there's going to be public announcements for those. So definitely follow their social media if you're interested. Made by Us is our sort of youth initiative. This is the national initiative that's looking at working with folks who are ages 18 to 30. And they do a number of programs really trying to figure out how to engage a younger audience in history and civics. They created a sort of keystone yearly event called Civic Season that they host. And they provide toolkits and webinars on how to best engage that population, really looking at using social media, creating programs that speak to their interests. And they just announced that they're starting a Youth 250 program and initiative, which will be looking at all of these questions within the framework of the 250th. Educating for American Democracy came out a couple of years ago. They were a cross-section of historians and academics and legal scholars looking at the role of civics and history in the 250th, and they've come up with a rich database of lesson plans and questions and tools that you can use to engage in history and civic discussions. And then, of course, there's larger history organizations nationally that are all dealing with the 250th in their own particular ways, highlighting the American Association for State and Local History. They have their Making History at 250th handbook, which looks at very similar themes, sort of like ours. And that's something that I guess that should be stated too, is that at a national level, a lot of folks are looking at very similar questions and themes. So it's very interesting to see that, to see how folks are grappling with the 250th now compared to at least what I read about the bicentennial, the types of questions that are being asked then. And then they've also funded a number of really great studies, such as Reframing History, which looks at how do you talk about history during polarized times? What are some words that can sort of shift the tone of a conversation in a direction you might not want to? And what are better ways of approaching those conversations in order to make sure that folks are sort of listening in and not checking out? There's probably a number of other organizations we didn't list here, but folks from the National Park Service to the NEH, the National Endowment for the Humanities, are all starting to think about the 250th and are starting to open up grant applications for projects, and just trying to state that now that we're getting very close to 2026, it's becoming more real. And I think a lot of folks are starting to think about what are we going to do now that we're only 2 years away. So you're going to probably hear a lot more resources being opened up moving forward. And one of those resources is something that we're developing. And this is going to be open to our proud partners. A lot of what we hear is we really want to create community-based projects, but we don't know how to approach said community. We don't know how to really start a ground-up approach. So this program is definitely targeted at that. The idea is to create a sort of opportunity for folks to come together to learn different types of data collection methods that can then inform the types of work, the types of programs that they can create for their communities and for their commemorative efforts. A lot of it is based in community-based participatory research methods, and we're really hoping that it works with a lot of the larger placemaking initiatives that are already going on in the state and that folks are tapping into, just so that we can really tie in things like heritage tourism, preservation, history, placemaking, and development. Okay, I have to soon cede my time, I'm sure. So the next steps that we have for folks is one is to become a proud partner if you haven't, and then to make sure that your community is a RevolutionNJ community. We've tried to make it as simple as possible. The Proud Partner application is really sort of a declaration of being an advocate for RevolutionNJ, and really agreeing to sort of the larger goals that we're trying to achieve. We also hope that folks start thinking about creating local itineraries as like a very basic, here's what our community has to offer. Let's highlight some historic sites, businesses, and other organizations. Especially with what Sarah mentioned with the 250th in 2026 being a sort of influx of, we're going to have an influx of so many tourists for World Cup and other events that folks are going to be spending time in Jersey trying to figure out what to do. If we can make it easy for them to discover historic sites, small businesses, and highlight our communities, it's going to work out for folks. And then once you're a proud partner, please start using the Proud Partner logo on all your collateral and things that you're doing. We love to just have the logo be out there so that folks see it and start wondering what is RevolutionNJ, and then they start going down that chase. Mike, I'm sure there's an actual term for that in marketing, but I'm just going to say the chase. So that is one of our things we're trying to get now more brand awareness of RevolutionNJ as we get closer to 2026. And then, as Mike mentioned, follow us on social media and join our newsletter to stay up to date to new events, new programs, to hear what else your colleagues around the state are doing. We are ultimately an amplifier of their stories. And then share with us any events you would like us to put up and make sure that folks are aware of. And
I threw one last question in the chat to kick off the Q&A. Do you face any hurdles to having a successful 250th? And I'll leave that, you can put in the chat, but I'll also leave that as an open thing going forward. If you do, go to social media and text us via Facebook or Instagram. We've got a bunch of us watching that. We'll jump all over it. That's what we're here for, is to help you guys get through hurdles, help you guys, really get involved. And, we all wear many hats. We go to social events, we have kids, sporting events. This is for all the folks in New Jersey, and everybody can participate in some sort of way, socially, commercially, educationally. There's a place for everybody. So just talk it up.
And let me just jump in here to say that while you saw some of the programs that we're working on for the state, we really even more than offering those, we're most excited really about enabling all of you in your various communities and organizations to create programs that speak to the needs of your own neighbors. So that's really a big focus for us. That's why we created all those tools. The website is to really be able to highlight all of the communities around the state and excite them and inspire them to mark this big anniversary in the way that really speaks to them. So there you go. Melissa, do you want to welcome our Q&A now?
Yes, that was a wonderful, very thorough presentation. I am always so struck by the broad umbrella you're creating here for a multitude of different sites, organizations to be able to participate in ways that feel real and authentic for them, whether or not they are a Rev War battlefield or something, So bravo. I can't wait to see what the next few years, I was going to say the next 2 years, but as was noted, this is going to go to 2033, right? So let's open it to Q&A. If our audience would like, they can unmute themselves and ask a question. Or if you want to type it in the chat, we'd be happy to read it for you. Maybe while people are looking for their mute button, there was a question a little higher up in the chat that I want to call to your attention about the southern counties and what's being done to ensure that they are participating, that they feel involved at the same level that some of the central and northern counties do. Can anyone comment on that?
Let me dive into, Larry Schmidt put an answer in the chat. Larry and I are the two South Jersey representatives on the RevolutionNJ team, and we fly that flag very proudly, right, Larry? So I do want to emphasize that we have done outreach to all 21 counties. And if you would consider if you consider Ocean County part of South Jersey, as I do, actually, Ocean is one of our most active counties in terms of preparing for the 250th. So there is activity down in South Jersey. One of our goals really for this calendar year, if we can possibly do, is to get all 21 counties on board as RevolutionNJ communities. We will be present at the New Jersey Association of Counties convening in May and trying to really spread that word further. And all of you can help us too. If your county is not listed, help us reach out and, send your enthusiasm for this to your county executive or freeholders, whoever might be in your particular county. Help us spread that word, because that really is a goal for us, to get all 21 counties if we possibly can by the end of this year.
Here's a question in the chat from Peter Primavera. It's kind of a multi-part question. Who are the 250th champions in the New Jersey legislature? How is the tourism industry involved? And have you given any thought to a billboard on the turnpike?
All great questions, Peter. Not at all surprising that you got some good questions there. You will not be surprised to hear that the sponsor of the bill creating RevolutionNJ was the now retired Senator Loretta Weinberg, who was one of our greatest champions for state history in the legislature. But now we have some new legislators coming on board. And we also have, I think, a growing awareness and a growing interest in the 250th. So one of the big enthusiasts really is our speaker, Speaker Coughlin. Has been very, very excited and interested in the 250th. The commission also has 4 legislators who serve as legislative representatives. Speaker Coughlin is one of them. And all 4 of them are quite engaged and will be even more so as we move forward. So we do have some champions, and I do think the interest and enthusiasm is going to build now that we're, getting almost 2 years away from that big July 4th date. Anybody from the rest of the team want to add to that? Oh, I'm sorry, Peter, you also wanted us to talk about tourism, right? So the legislation actually names travel and tourism to support us in this effort. It also names the Department of Environmental Protection. Those are the 2 other state agencies named in the bill. And I can certainly say that both of those partners have been active with us. If you've seen the new campaign from Travel and Tourism, the Little State Lot of Wow campaign, you'll notice that actually there are images in there of RevWar sites. So Jeff Vassar, who is the director of Travel and Tourism, has really been working with us over the last few years to really enhance heritage tourism as a much more integral part of the state's tourism messaging. I also know that he's been working with colleagues in the regional, kind of the mid-Atlantic region, some of our other states, neighboring states, Pennsylvania, Delaware, to try to coordinate international outreach and try to attract more of those international visitors to our region during the 250th. And I think you're going to continue to see that good partnership with Travel and Tourism as we move forward. Carrie, do you want to add anything to that too? I know Carrie's staff has been looking very carefully at this heritage tourism piece.
Yeah,
I
our
jump
staff.
in. Go ahead, Carrie. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go first, then I'll throw it to you, Mike.
All right.
So yeah, Ashley Abruzzo, who's our Heritage Tourism program manager at Crossroads, is kind of leading our Heritage Tourism working group that we have. It's one of the several working groups we have in RevolutionNJ that are kind of bringing together these collaborative elements of our field and people outside but allied to our field who have an interest in heritage tourism for this working group. So we're definitely working on some initiatives there. I echo everything that Sarah said. I don't need to repeat it about travel and tourism. They're right behind us on this effort. They get it. They understand the impact of heritage tourism on our economy in the state of New Jersey and the fact that we need to raise that up. We're currently about half the national average for heritage tourism visitors, and we want to bring that up. That's one of our goals is increasing heritage tourism. I want to throw it to Mike for the advertising part.
Well, just because you asked, in addition to the things that you asked, Peter, you also have DOT, and we've talked to them to make sure that functionally the buses are going to the places that we're telling people to go to. But also that's an advertising thing on platforms and also on locomotives and things like that. So we're talking to them. We also took a trip up. If anybody on this call has not been to Terminal A in Newark, it's a fabulous renovation, and it's been done up in Jersey pride. I mean, even now, before we got started, it's got Jersey stuff, artists and Jersey fresh and stuff through and through. And we're working with them they're going to allow us to some degree to curate the terminal and get it ready. So the brand of Terminal A is ready for us. So planes, trains, and automobiles, we're working on all the various angles where people might see us as they come through the most heavily traveled place perhaps in the world.
Okay.
And just from hearing from our colleagues around the state, New Jersey, we've been lucky, right? We've had support since 2018 for this. A lot of folks are just getting started now, and they're really looking at our initiative and learning from us the amount of times we've been contacted by colleagues and getting their 250th started. And that's because we have great national support too, right? We have Bonnie Watson-Coleman, right? We had Senator Booker come earlier last year. Representative Mikey Sherrill, that there's really just a lot of effort now moving forward with RevolutionNJ.
I might add, because y'all might be interested to hear this, and you might not be aware of it, and that is that actually, as Carrie and I have gone around to different national gatherings, either on Zoom or in person, we do hear from our colleagues around the country that they've seen what New Jersey's been doing and have look to us in many ways for inspiration and guidance. So I hope that warms our hearts when we hear that. And I hope that also is something really that you all can take pride in too, that people are hearing about New Jersey and its history through this 250th preparation. And that's really, really exciting. Now, there are a couple more questions I'm seeing in here, and I was going to tackle one of them. And that, if I can find it again.
From Eric Kent from NJ Parroting, who, by the way, thank you so much for amplifying all of our posts. I know that NJ Parroting has become a great proud partner and doing exactly what we hope. So the question was, what types of events for NJ families are in the works to help celebrate the 250th and educate kids about the local historical sites?
Right. Well, this is a multifaceted initiative, as you can see. I want to just reiterate one of the things we mentioned, which is our real goal is to inspire activities that engage families and kids in this all around the state and through all of our organizations and communities around the state. So that's one of our big pushes. Of course, the History Happened Here is aimed at that grade 5 through 12 age bracket. So that's a major initiative for us. The other thing that we didn't mention that we should, and by the way, you heard about the pop-up, the genealogy pop-ups that again are designed to reach all age levels and get them excited in doing their family research. But we're also going to be involved in some major tentpole commemorative moments that will be designed to reach a larger multi-generational audience. One of those will be a large gathering, probably up at Liberty State Park. Stay tuned for more details around that July 4th anniversary period. But then, as we all know, as in this gathering here, we also have some pretty major anniversary moments in the state's Revolutionary War history. And we will be working with partners around the state to make sure that those moments are really well publicized and really special for this 250 years. So you can probably guess already, this group can guess the kinds of events I'm talking about. And obviously the 10 Crucial Days will be part of that, as will, of course, the Battle of Monmouth and other key moments in our state's revolutionary history. Anybody else want to add to that from our team here?
I don't want to add to that, but I was going to try to answer Drea's question about you're asking about what we would like to see from history groups such as reenactors. I'm not going to address the top 2 or 3. There's way more than 2 or 3 that we're still working on. But I just want to let you know that one of our real strong partners is the Department of Environmental Protection, DEP's Historic Sites Office. And we're working really closely because some of our top historic sites in New Jersey are, of course, those that are run by the state. And so we're working with the Office of Historic Sites to make sure that those are ready and to try to coordinate efforts so that we get things on the calendar that aren't in conflict with one another and try to get all those people at the table at the same time, all discussing, so that we're planning things out that will make sense and that people will be able to visit and enjoy and tie together too. So yeah, we're definitely working on all of those things. As far as one of the things that people ask us a lot is, are we going to be planning the reenactments? And the answer is generally no, because reenactors have your own umbrella organizations that handle those things, and you do it very well because you've been doing it for so long. So we will be happy to raise up, publicize help coordinate, add, if you need help, we're here, we'll do what we can, but we're really kind of looking as to this as a collaborative effort to make it all work together.
And I'd just like to add in one of the key things in all of this is it is so important for all the organizations, those historic sites at the lower level, the state sites, the National Park Service, all of the different historical societies and preservation groups and communities that are interested in creating activities to highlight the unique contributions or the stories around their locales. To share information, to try to coordinate the different activities and events in terms of calendar. Because if we're not finding ways to share the information, to coordinate, to make sure that we're not stepping on one another's toes, it's going to be really tough to draw the types of public attendance that I think a lot of our sites and around the state will be hoping for. As I say, there's going to be, Sarah mentioned about the World Cup, tall ships, all of that taking place in the months of June and July of 2026. Those folks, that international audience, as well as the folks from here in the United States that will be attending and from within New Jersey, they're going to be looking for other things to do too. They're going to be coming here. They're going to want to know where else they can go, what else they can experience. And so the more that we're able to offer an array of these different things without necessarily trying to, as I say, step on one another's toes, we'll be better off.
And I'll add, I know, Melissa, we're coming to the end of our time here, but I will just add too, amongst my top 2 or 3 things that any organization can do is network. Make sure that your local restaurants know about you, that your local hotels know about you, so that you really are cross promoting within your areas. That's one of those things that takes time. And we all know that we should do, well, gosh, now's the time to really do it. Really build that tourism network in your own community so that you're getting that bounce back visitation from hotel guests, restaurant patrons, patrons at other shopping venues, other attractions in your area, all of that.
And that was going to be exactly what I was going to say, Sarah. And now is time for broad-based coalition building, cooperate, break down our silos. It is the time to really share the limited resources we have. And then the other part would be advocacy. We need help with advocacy about history in the state from organizations throughout the state. That is ultimately what's going to change funding streams and awareness campaigns. And that's the best way any history organization can help, which we know folks already do, right, with Preservation New Jersey's work and the League of Historical Societies and and Crossroads work, right? We know that this is a huge part already of what folks are thinking about, but that is probably the biggest thing that can be of help right now.
Yeah, Mark nailed that. You and your advocacy to your elected officials can change funding streams, and that's huge. This is an opportunity. We can't leave it to linger.
Ooh, Melissa, I think you are muted. Yes.
This happened earlier today too. I said, how many years have we all been Zooming now? One would think that we never forget to unmute, but we do. Anyway, this was fabulous. I think we went through all of the questions in the chat and we are almost out of time, but was there anyone sitting patiently waiting to unmute and ask their question out loud? Going once? Okay, well, the team behind Revolution New Jersey has told you how to keep in touch with them. You want to check their website. You want to connect with them on social media so that you don't miss any of the exciting news that will just keep unfolding over the next few years. Thank you so much, Sarah, Mark, Carrie, everybody. And thank you to our audience. We also, remember, want you to keep in touch with Preservation New Jersey. So our website, again, is preservationnj.org. Remember, we've got that exciting 10 most endangered sites announcement coming up on May 4th and lots of other great stuff going on. So connect with Revolution NJ, connect with Preservation New Jersey, and together we will all make great things happen. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
Have
Melissa.
a great night.
Thank you, Melissa.